you speak, V?
Zulu.
I speak English.
But I can also speak and understand Xhosa, Pedi, Soto, Afrikaans. I used to be able to speak French fluently.
Is that in South Africa they do French?
So some of the private schools
Have we started?
offer you like a variety of languages, right? So you've got French, you got Afrikaans, which is like the local.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the one I always hear about.
Yeah, because South Africa was colonized by the Dutch, so Afrikaans is basically a breakdown of what the Dutch speak.
See, Ghanaian.
So would it be considered like pidgin then? Kind of.
Yeah, I
Okay.
guess so. Yeah, it's. But in South Africa, you've got 13 official languages.
What about in Ghana, Parvin?
Man, a bunch, bro. See, they have 10 regions in Ghana, and every region speak a different language. So they have the Gonja, they have Chi, they have Akan, they got Fanti, they got all type of.
How many can you speak?
Oh, this one dog.
Okay.
And what usually happens is, so even though they've got 13, like, I guess you could call them dialects, right?
Yeah.
Because if you can pick up on some of the other sort of like just when people speak, because some of the words are very similar, you can kind of put two and two together and kind of pick up what people are talking about.
Oh, so it's almost like variations, kind of.
Yeah, basically,
Okay.
yeah, it's like variations, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. That's something I definitely wouldn't have known. Because when I talk to Parvin, all I hear about is Twee
Yeah.
and pidgin
And
English.
Pigeon, yeah.
And
I do
Pigeon.
speak a lot of Pigeon.
But other than that, I don't.
See, Pigeon is English still, but it's like broken English.
Yeah, it's all fucked
So,
up.
like, yeah.
It's like
Like where
I
you
listen
at?
to it and I'm like,
Where you at?
How
It's
the
like
fuck you got that?
literally like
It was like pig language.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Like where you at? It's like where you day. So where you at? It's like where you, but the at is day. And they be like at day house, so I'm home. So I'm at the house.
If I would have heard a day house, I would have been like, "Who's day's house?"
Right, exactly.
I wouldn't have been like, "Oh, you're at home."
Right.
Crazy.
Because when Steve Harvey ended up going to Ghana and he did Family Feud out there, somebody was like, "What had happened?" And he was like, "He heard it could happen." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Isn't Michael Blackson from Ghana?
yeah, he is.
He just built a school out there.
Yeah,
he just opened up. Did you see that?
Yeah, Parvin was telling me about it a couple
Dude,
weeks
and,
ago.
and free. No one has to pay. Dude, that thing is beautiful. It is stunning. Like it would rival schools that I've seen here, like private schools.
Well, he's got the bag.
Oh, dude, that man.
Yeah, and I mean, he's talking about like if he really wants to do an interview, you got to support the school before he comes and talk about it.
I
Oh,
like that.
Yeah,
that makes sense though,
yeah, doesn't make
know.
a lot of sense.
Yeah, Yeah.
because people are gonna want to see Michael Blackson.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's Michael Blackson.
For sure, dog. The
Is that
school
his
nice.
actual name? Do you know if that's his actual name?
I think he's got an African name.
He probably does.
He probably changed it when he came over here, and I think I actually remember him talking to somebody, talking about what his real name is, but he changed it when he got here. I can't remember what it was.
Because one thing about changing names is that once you get your citizenship, you get the privilege to change your name when you're gonna get your American passport.
Oh,
Oh, you can change your name?
Yeah, you could change your name.
I ain't
'Cause
changed.
they asked me
I ain't
when I was
changing.
getting my U.S. passport. They're like, "Do you want to change your name?" And I was like, "Nah, I'm gonna stick with Parvin."
you should have switched it to Marvin, bro, because that's what fucking 80% of the people call you anyway.
Right, bro.
Starving Marvin.
Starving Marvin.
I ain't changing
Yeah.
shit. Nope.
So okay, I gotta ask you this because
Oh,
this is
snap.
this is something that I've been wondering. So Parvin said in Ghana, your middle name is picked based off what day you're born. Correct, Parvin?
Yeah, for sure.
Is that the same way? Is it the same way in South Africa?
No.
No, or is it more like Americans where you just pick whatever you want?
So, in kind of like Southern Africa, so we're talking, Lesotho, Swaziland, South Africa, those regions out there. Names, just like I'm sure in Ghana, are considered to be very, very important. They have to have meaning, right? So typically, in my case, like names are picked by like elders. So, like for example, my name was given to me by my grandfather.
Oh.
What does your name mean?
It means happiness. And then, for example, my boys, him actually, my father gave him his middle name. So it's like almost like a rite of passage. So it's like, yeah, I think actually in my family, all the boys were named by my grandfather. So there's like they get the right to do that,
Oh.
because they're considered to, obviously have experienced more, they've lived longer, and they've come into contact with a great number of people, and it's like a wisdom thing, I guess you could say.
Yeah. And is that the middle name, or is that the first and middle?
They can pick first and middle if they want to. It's really up to like in my case, like my father and my mother. But like I don't have a middle name. My grandfather gave me my first name, and then it's just my last name. But what's crazy is all my siblings have middle names, which is
Are
weird.
you the oldest?
No, I've got an older sister.
Huh.
I never knew.
Yeah, I've got an older sister who's probably a year and a half older than I am, I think. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Parvin, where are you from? Because I'm sure a lot of the people are at this point are like, I don't know.
I'm from
what's going
Ghana.
on. Where in Ghana?
So born in a city called Achimota. But
Okay.
then I grew up in the city. Okay. So when my mom and my dad, they had to relocate from where they at into the city.
Uh-huh.
So I grew up in the city pretty much in Accra. That's
Oh,
the
okay.
capital city
Oh, of Ghana.
of Ghana. Yeah.
Okay.
Accra.
What about you, V?
So originally born in a little country called Swaziland, which is in South Africa. It gained its independence back in 1968. Still one of the only absolute monarchs in the world. What I mean by that is there's an actual king.
Holy shit.
Yeah, there's an actual king. Just like England has
yeah.
a queen, there's a king.
But he actually runs the show.
He actually,
not
yeah.
like the queen.
Yeah, he's got so it's the king, and then his mom is the queen mother, and then he's got his very many wives. So culturally, he gets to pick a wife every year.
Damn.
There's like a
How
special.
old is this man?
The king is probably mid-50s,
So you mean to tell me this man got 50 wives?
at least. I mean, we're not talking even about the girlfriends he's got on the side. So his father.
I need to know what time management skills that guy has.
So
Holy
his father
shit.
his father before him. So this king is King Mswati III. His father before him, King Sobhuza II, had over 50 wives and had over 200 kids.
Holy.
It's kind of like what you and I were talking about the other day when we were doing.
Yeah.
There's this, and I don't know if it's the same in Ghana, but in a lot of African countries, there's this notion that the more kids you have, the better you'll be taken care of
For sure.
when you're older.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, we were talking about that.
Yeah. So, and I think that kind of flows through a lot of most of Africa. You know what I mean? That's why, like, there'll always be that debate of like, why do Africans have so many kids? It's a cultural thing. It's a cultural belief, because family is one of those things that's really important within African culture, right? Yeah. Family sticks together. Yeah, like any other family in Europe or in the U.S., you'll have issues, you'll have fallouts, but when shit hits the fan and you got nowhere else to go, as much as it may pain you or it may be a challenge, you know where home is. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And yeah, the more people you have in that home, sort of like the more people can come together and kind of like support one another. Take care of whatever needs to be taken care of.
Yeah, it's like a village almost, like in that belief that it takes a village.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. There's a term that they typically use in Southern Africa, and it's called ubuntu, which just basically breaks down to like togetherness, almost like humility, almost like I am who I am because of who you are. So there's like a dependency that goes together. You know what I'm saying?
That's pretty powerful
Like I can't
stuff, though.
be complete if I know that my brother Parvin is not complete. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Yeah, that it's like there's the symbiosis
Yes.
that goes on.
Yes, and that's kind of why, like, when I moved to the U.S., it was a real culture shock for me. Like, I had to kind of like take a step back
Right.
and think about some things, because where I'm from, and I can't speak for Parvin, but I think it's similar.
Yeah.
If you, Sean, were walking past my house, right? We're in Africa, and you were lost, right? Regardless of the color you are, that crap doesn't matter. And you walked into my home, and we were having, back home we call them braais, equivalent of barbecues here, except on a larger scale, because you have just you have so much food. It's almost like you're cooking for an army. If you came to my house and you were like, "Hey man, I'm looking for directions," what would probably happen is this: I'd be like, "Hey man, come sit down and eat." And you'd be like, "God, I really need to get over here," and I'd be like, "Yeah, we'll take you there. But right now, you're part of this family.
Family
Come on,
first.
sit down, grab a plate, grab a drink."
Yeah, make yourself at home.
Yeah. By the time you leave, like, you have now become part of this situation, like part of this family. And then not only that, we'll drive you to where you need to go. Like, we won't be like, "Oh yeah, just turn here, turn here." We'll be like, "Hey, let's
Make sure you
get
get there.
you over there."
alright.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So there's just there's this interconnectedness, and this dynamic of like how deep relationships are, and relationships matter. You know, and it's one of those things that when I came here and I realized how in some parts of America how people are so like just
To themselves.
yeah, it's all about me, right?
Right.
White picket fence and all that, and it's like I'm traveling this journey, this road alone, and I'm like, and it became really real to me when I first moved here, and I met a couple of white dudes, became good friends with them, and this one night they were like, "Hey man, let's go. My friend invited us for a party. You should come with us." Now I wasn't invited by this person. I'm being invited by them.
Yeah.
Right. And I learned very quickly when I got to that party that in America, the idea of being invited personally by someone means a great deal, because they walked in and they were like, "Hey, what's up, man? What's up, man?" And then I stepped up, and like, you could see sort of like the confusion and the uneasiness.
Yep.
Like, who the hell are you? And in my mind, I thought it was cool because I came with them and they knew him. And it made me feel so uncomfortable that I was like, you know what? I'm just going to roll. Like, I wasn't going to have a good night.
For sure.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
no.
Knowing that it wasn't even that I wasn't welcome there, but that person wasn't expecting.
Yeah, it was
Right.
this uneasiness. that
Right,
shot.
right. But the difference in Africa is you don't need an invitation to become part of the party. You know what I mean? Like, you just show up. You show up.
Is that how it is for you, Parvin, when you were back home?
Yeah, pretty much. Because a lot of my cousins here, honestly speaking, they're like friends, and some I do not know. So when they come here, we have that kind of bond, and then they turn to be more than family. So I cannot call them, "Hey, this is my friend," anymore. Like my auntie I talk about, she's not my real auntie.
No shit.
Yeah, she's not. I have no relationship with her or whatsoever at all.
No blood connection.
I just met her. I was looking for a roommate,
And that's how you met.
and that's how we met.
That's fucking wild.
Yeah, bro,
I would have never known that.
She treated me like more than a family, bro. So it got to that point. I can't just say, "Hey, this is my roommate," anymore.
Yeah.
I could actually call her my auntie, and like we have that bond and it's so funny because, I say funny, it's pretty serious. It's crazy that the more you develop this bond and relationship with that person, you begin to look alike. If you see my auntie, you'll be like, "Oh yeah, that's Parvin's auntie," but literally, we're roommates.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Because there's like certain situations here with us, like being American, that like you hear of people that have uncles and they're not biological uncles, like you guys are how you're staying with your aunt. Like, for example, Tom, his daughter has an uncle that has no blood affiliation to her uncle Cody.
Okay.
And that's somebody that, like you said, eventually you get to know them so well, they're no longer, "Oh, this is my best friend," or "This is my friend."
Right.
No, this is my brother. And so that's what we are. We're family now. This is your uncle because this is my brother. And so that's crazy because it sounds like it's a very common thing in Africa, and like, and especially African cultures.
Oh yeah.
Whereas American culture, or I guess you could say American culture or like Caucasian culture, it happens, but it's not
Rare.
common. It's
Yeah,
rare.
it's almost like in America, you have to have that blood connection
To see.
in order to be considered an aunt and uncle, right?
Yep.
I mean, take Cohen for example. He walked
Right.
in and said, "Hey, Uncle Sean.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Uncle Parvin," right? Because that's just how. That's just how Africans. There's that sign. Number one, it's a sign of respect,
It is.
right? But you also don't need to have that bloodline. I mean, if I was to my real aunt, she's passed away. My father's sister. But I can tell you that to this day, I probably have 20 to 30 aunts who aren't
Blood related.
blood related, but they have a connection to our family because we've shared something, we've experienced something together, and they've been there through the good, through the bad, and supported us, and sort of like being people that you can turn to for wisdom or advice,
Right.
and you automatically, they just become part of the fold. You know what I'm saying? And you know that you can show up to their doorstep when the shit is the fan,
Never.
and they'll accept you just like you were their own. They could have 15 kids. You show up to their doorstep and be like, "I need help." You are
You're
you're their son. You're their daughter. You're walking right in. You're gonna get a meal, a place to sleep, and you're gonna get respected and taken care of.
That's what happened when I got back from Ghana in 2020 after COVID. So I got back. I was down there for 8 months. So I had to like end my lease. Came back. My auntie, I just called her. I said, "Auntie, listen, I just got back. I don't have nowhere to stay." She's like, "Come home." And this is a lady I have no relations. Like, there's nothing.
Yeah, no blood.
No blood,
It's
nothing,
just
bro.
relationship.
Right. And it boils down to what V was talking about, Cody. My daughter knows everybody is her uncle. Anybody older than her is her uncle. And you'd be surprised if something is going on. Like, she asked me, she's like, "Daddy, I want a cell phone." I said, "Okay, who are you going to call?" Uncle Bright. And Bright is no near my family member at all. Not even blood related. But like, my daughter trusts Bright so much, and he knows the relationship I have with him, he automatically calls him uncle. And then Bright has also accepted that responsibility that I'm an uncle to Miracle. So, like, "Okay, Bright, I want you to do something for your niece." "Yeah, what is it?" "Go pick her up." "Okay, yeah, I got him. I got her." So it's pretty easy. Like, yeah, it's not like when I came here, I had a culture shock too, because I was like, "Wait, what?" I thought family meant everything, but here it's like,
Yeah.
see, in Ghana, they talk about extended family, but here it's just when you talk about family, you're talking about
Just there's like a core.
just the core. Yeah,
Yeah, it's the household you grew up in.
Right.
exactly.
Extended family means exactly
big.
that. Extended family. Like
Yeah.
y'all are over
Yeah, those
there.
people you see for birthday parties on occasion or like Thanksgiving,
Yeah,
Christmas, like
yeah.
big holidays.
Yeah. I'll give you a perfect example. My wife and I got married in Africa, right? And we were doing our what are they called? Wedding lists or whatever. What is that
Oh,
nonsense?
the
called?
invitation list?
Invitation list. And I'm African. My wife isn't white American. She was born in Redding, California.
Oh, okay.
And we're making the lists. And where I'm from, right? My last names are a big deal too. So our last name is related to royalty in southern Africa through my grandma. And it came to a point where we had made our list, right? Her and I, and it was like probably maybe 100 people.
Okay.
And then I remember having a discussion with my dad, and he was like, "Yeah, there's like 400 people I've got to invite," and I was like, "What?"
Holy shit.
because of our last name, because of the extended family
Yeah.
situation,
Right.
the aunts, the uncles, the cousins. there were people I'd never even met, didn't even
Mm-hmm.
know, but they have a connection to my family.
Exactly.
So we ended up having to have two different
Basically, ceremony.
ceremonies. Like what are they called? The after parties
Yeah,
or
the
whatever you
after
call them?
parties,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we had to have one for the extended 400 people, and then we had to have one for our people, the 150 people that my wife and I both share, who are friends, who are like genuine friends.
Yeah.
You know, and I remember literally walking when we were done with the ceremony, walking out the church, and my dad was trying to introduce my wife and I to all these people, and I looked at him and I said, "Dad,
We ain't got enough
I was
time
like,
for
I don't know these
I
people.
don't know all these guys.
You know what I'm saying?"
Uh-huh.
And then one of them would come. Some of them would come up to you and be like, "I used to watch you when you were this big. Do you remember?" Hell no, I don't
you
remember.
Just asked me, I'm this fucking big. I have no
I was like,
idea who
hell
you
no.
are.
But I had to respect the fact that there was some connection there, whether it was with me or my dad or my grandma or my grandpa. I had to respect that as like culturally that, and my wife was cool with it too. Bless her heart. Because I got to a point where I was just like, this is some bullshit. Like I know I literally was like, I'm ready to go. Like I just want to go. I didn't want to go to our after party type situation. I was like, I'm done.
you were so
I was
done.
like, I'm done. You know? But that's just how the cookie crumbles, man. You've got extended family, but the key term there is family, and that's what people focus on. The extended part, they couldn't give two shits about. It's the family part. It's that ubuntu that I was talking about, that togetherness. That I can come to you, even if I haven't seen you for 15, 20 years. I can walk to your house and just say, auntie, even if you're not my,
Exactly.
my auntie, and say, hey, I need help. And just to know that you've got a home.
How is that? Like, I hear you guys explaining it, like when it comes to like when shit hits the fan and stuff like that. But when everything's going good, you know what I'm saying? How much different is that from how it is in America? Because it sounds like because you guys have this super deep understanding of togetherness, family, that it almost in a sense sounds way more positive than when you come here. Like I feel like it's way more negative over here coming from that because you're so used to having this, like you said, these connections, these relationships, this togetherness that you come here and it's like V, you had said, I'm on my path alone. It's me,
sure.
myself, and I. You you have family, but even the concept of family sounds way different.
For sure, yeah.
Even when it comes to just strictly blood.
See, there's a saying back home saying, "Praye wo hoi ukaboma embu, uchemwa ebu." So meaning like a broom. When you add, they see family like a broom. There's this broom in Africa that
grass
like palm trees. So once you bring all the palm tree together, you could actually sweep. But individual palm tree,
It doesn't do anything.
it won't do anything.
No.
So that's how
That's
they
fucking
perceive it.
deep.
Yeah, like it's pretty deep. Like growing up, I'm like, oh, the kind of stuff they used to say is beginning to make sense to me. And check something out. Have you ever seen a homeless African? It's rare.
Holy shit.
Mic drop.
Have you seen that?
That is a huge mic
It's
drop.
rare, dog.
Yep.
No matter what,
right.
bro. Like if I'm driving downtown and I see a Ghanaian that's homeless,
Uh-huh.
I promise you, he's coming home with me. We'll talk. Once he speaks my language,
It's crazy, man.
like the
It's almost
affection
like,
just
almost
kinda,
like you already know them.
yeah, it's like you know them already.
There's no vetting process.
Yeah.
Right? Because we spoke about this the other day. The honor, sort of like the honor.
Yeah.
People understand. You can look into someone's eyes and just know that they're an honorable person.
Exactly.
And they're just going through a rough time. I don't need to background check you. I don't need to have the FBI dig into you
Yeah.
before you come to my home.
Yeah, I don't have to stalk your social media.
No,
page.
Exactly.
no. But I know that if you're coming to my home, you're gonna respect my home the same way I would respect your home.
Yeah, because the morals are the same. The respect is the
Exactly.
same.
Right.
You guys are always on the same understanding.
But that's just it, Sean. Like humility, respect of your elders, especially, and just for one another, right? Is probably one of the biggest things. I think maybe you and I talked about this. I have my own house, my own cars, my own kids, my own wife, right? My own job, right? a big culture shock, as we were talking about, and when I came to the U.S., was listening to my white friends when they're on the phone with people and thinking they were talking to, like, their brother or their homie. I mean, we're talking like cussing and I'm like, cool. I was just talking, and they were talking to their parents, right?
They're not.
I'm 42.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm on the phone with my parents, you'll never hear me cuss ever.
Mm.
You won't.
Mm.
African culture and respect, like those are the people that gave you life,
It's a big thing.
and they've set an example for you to follow, and you need to be an example. Like, I think my mom would probably reach to the phone and slap the shit out of me.
Same here.
For us to be like, fuck. Honestly, I've never cussed when I'm on the phone with my parents ever. Because there's an expectation. You're held to a standard.
Yeah.
Right? And that standard is based on the person that they have molded you to be. And as I mentioned the other day, culture always wins. In any African's mind, culture always wins. When things go wrong, and even if I'm here in the U.S., buddy, blah, 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 I will revert to, okay, culturally, what does this look like? Like, what does this represent, right? And base my decisions on what my heart and my culture would expect me to base my decision on.
See, because this is staying in that. I'm kind of interested in this because, in my personal opinion, now this isn't everybody's opinion, Americans and especially white Americans, I have no fucking idea what my culture is. My culture is integrating other cultures.
Right.
Like you could. There's so many different things that we do that technically couldn't be considered culturally. I guess you could say the fact that we're independent and the things like the connectedness and the togetherness and the family relationships and the family dynamics could be considered culturally. I wouldn't necessarily view it in a positive light comparing it to what you guys are talking about because it sounds much more, like I said, a positive kind of conjoinment of people. Everyone's on the same page. Everyone's got the same morals. It's not the same way here. You can walk down the street, come across 15 different people, and each person's ideas, their cultures, their beliefs, the way they carry themselves, their morals are extremely different person to person.
Right.
And so it kind of almost in a sense blows me away because there sounds like so much wisdom in the culture. Like I hear you a lot, Parvin, riding in a truck with you. Right. You say shit in your native tongue, and then you'll explain it to me in English.
Right.
And it's very well thought out, like stuff that only you can like come to this understanding of through hundreds of years, thousands of years of understanding. Like, no, this is how this goes. Like, I know we were talking, Parvin, you have so many, bro. I couldn't even fucking nail it down to 5. But, like, one that we were talking about, birds of the same feather flock together. That you say that as if it's said often when you were in Ghana.
Right.
In America, they fucking print them on posters and sell them at the goddamn Walmart because nobody says it. It's only the people that want to be in that frame of mind that use that kind of stuff.
See, back home, when we were home and when we were in schools, they used to teach us those kind of proverbs. They're called like proverbs.
Yeah.
You know, that so let's say a teacher will come up to you and be like, birds of the same feather. And then you got to respond, flock together. So at the end of the day, that proverb sticks in your head. But growing up, a lot of proverbs I know are beginning to make sense to me. Like they have a proverb back home. I might probably be able to say it in English. They said, family is like a forest. Once you get in, you see all trees are standing by itself. But once you sit back and you look at the forest, it's all together.
It's all one big,
Once you go into the forest, you be like, oh, so this tree is sitting separate from each other. Do you see what I'm saying?
No, I definitely understand what you're saying. That they may stand individually, but they're all together
From a distance.
in that
They are-
individuality.
Exactly.
And it also depends on how you view it.
How you view it.
too.
Exactly.
When you're in the forest versus when you're outside of the forest, what your viewpoint is of all that. Right? And going back to what you just said, there is so much wisdom that's passed down from generation to generation in Africa and African cultures, man. It would blow your mind to like spend time and like immerse yourself in any specific culture. It doesn't matter where you went. You'd come back and your eyes, your view of life
It's different.
would be. I've had friends who have gone to visit Africa and have come back, packed their shit up, and moved out there. Right? Because there's also a saying in Africa. I don't know if you have it in Ghana. There's no hurry in Africa. A lot of countries, especially in Southern Africa, you haven't said there's no hurry in Africa. Now, people will translate it differently according to where they are in Africa, right? But essentially, the crux of this means I'm never too busy to help my fellow man, regardless of race, culture, religion, right? I'm never too busy to build meaningful relationships. I'm never too busy to stop what I'm doing and take the time to listen to what Sean has to say, to what Parvin has to say. I need to be always ready to take my wants and my needs and put them aside and support my fellow brother, my fellow sister in whatever journey they're embarking on, or whatever difficulty they're having.
Right.
And then once that's figured out, I can go back, grab whatever I was doing, and carry on in my journey.
And that discipline is there with me even at work. And that discipline is with me at work. I don't know if you've seen that. I go above and beyond and help any other person. Sometimes I'm doing something, I just put it on the side because that discipline is there. I think when I came out here, one culture shock that I also had was, will I say selfishness? Like, yeah, this is me. That's it. When I used to work at certain places, bro, I'm done with mine and I'm trying to help the other man get caught up. But
And they're
here, like,
turning it down.
yeah, like even if I'm trying to help you, they'll be like, "Oh, I'm good. It's not your job. It's not your responsibility." Nah, it's the whole. We're trying to like do this together as a team.
Yeah.
So like I think back home, the mentality that it's out there is just team, 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 bro. You'd be surprised if you're rich in Ghana, bro. You got a whole village to take care of, and I mean it's not. You would do it just because that's how the whole thing operates out there.
Yeah, you're just wired that way.
You see how much money I send back home. Bro, sometimes money I send back home, dog, you'd be surprised. I don't even know half of the people.
That's gonna see that money.
Half of the people I send money to. Because somebody comes to me and tells me about their situation. I'm like, how come I'll let my fellow sibling suffer? You know? Like my cousins. I never knew he had a baby. He took a picture and he's like, "Oh, I just had twins." Like, for real? And first thing that came in my mind, how are you going to take care of them? Guess what? Oh, I know you're my brother. I'm like, yeah, sure. Why not? I got you. So that family bond and that helping hand is always there. You know, that if you become something big in the future or you have that much money, you got a lot of people to take care of. Not like here that like, okay, yeah, I made it myself. Guess what? It's my money.
Yeah, I made it myself. This is my money. If you
That's
better
it.
have played a very integral role in my success story to be able to take a part of this cheese.
Well, I think there's also something to be said about Africans, and that is they remember, right? They remember when they were at rock bottom,
For sure.
and you sent them that money. You joined them in prayer. You marched with them, whatever it may be. They remember that, and it may not happen tomorrow or the next day or in 10 years, but you'll bump into that person on the street, and the first thing they'll say to you is they'll quote that situation where you, regardless of how old they are, that's going to be something that's ingrained in their minds because it was a selfless act.
Right.
You didn't have to do it.
I'm glad you bring that up because I'm gonna use Parvin as the example because I hear him all the time, and we'll put it in our terms since Parvin and I are drivers. I always give Parvin his credit. You drive, motherfucker. Like, you have no problem. You'll sit there and drive the full 8, no questions asked.
Right.
And I'll always be like, Parvin, you're good. No, I do. I'm a do. Because I don't know. There may be a day that comes up where I'm beat or I got to handle this.
Right.
And I can't be behind the wheel. I know that you'll think back to this time right here. Like, for example, when we were in Utah and we needed to come back because I was super sick.
Right.
And you drove the full 14 the whole way back.
Uh-huh.
And I just was like, dude, I appreciate the shit out of you. And you were like, it's all good. I know there may be a day where that happens to me. And I know in the back of my mind, we'll both think of this day right here. And you'll have no qualms.
Yeah.
You'll be like,
Right.
nope,
Yeah.
you did it for me. I'm going to do it for you. And it's the same thing.
And I think that's the difference, right? He didn't need you to reward him monetarily or to make a big deal of it. The fact that you appreciated it was enough for him. You know what I'm saying? And that's the difference. Like here in the U.S., it's like if I do you a favor, you're now in my pocket. You owe me.
Sure.
So when I come calling, I expect you not to say no.
Exactly.
Regardless of your situation. Because I'm going to hold that. It's almost like blackmail. I'm going
Exactly.
to hold that against you.
It's
Right, that's
extremely similar to
I'm
blackmail.
going to hold that against you. Like, and even if it's like 10 years later. Hey, Sean, remember 10 years ago when, and you're going to be like, what? Like you hey
remember?
man, you owe me. You got to take this L for me.
Yep.
Right? I'm going to put you in a situation where I could be compromising your life, whatever you got going on,
Exactly.
because of my selfishness, right? And you know, looking at what you were saying Parvin did, I can tell you right now, there was never a point when he was driving the full 14 where he felt like, oh, Sean sucks. I don't like Sean. He wanted to make sure, because of the situation, that you got back home, that you both got back home, regardless of, he probably got tired, right? He probably like,
Yeah.
but
I was beat.
but what kept him going was him knowing that he's being helpful.
For sure.
He is supporting you. And whatever he can do, even if it takes him out of his way, out of his comfort zone, whatever he can do to make sure that his brother, regardless of race, culture, beliefs, all that nonsense,
Yeah.
his brother, right? Because, you know, you refer to yourselves as drivers. When you're in a situation with an African person, whether it's driving, whether you become family, whether you like it or not, whether they tell you that or not, there's nothing that Parvin wouldn't do for you while you guys are on a route together. I can tell you that right now.
Oh, for sure.
I know I'm speaking for him, but I'm telling you right now because
I know.
feel the same way, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I could have easily, even though, you know, not to say I'm some guru or some special person. Like the other day, was it Friday? It was Friday. Thursday. You know, I was in the office and Sean was like, "Hey man, you wanna come pick up some TVs with me?" And I was like, "Sure." I would have gone with him right there and then, but the issue was we were waiting for, you know, third party, and eventually, because I could see that Sean needed to go, I literally called the third party person. I said, "Tom, where are these people at?" We were about to leave. They showed up. We did our thing, but we still got it done. We went out there. We did our thing. Took care of customers. You know, and what baffles me with that is, and I even spoke to you about this, like when I was a supervisor and I did it for my team. And they were like, "But you're the boss, right?" So Africans don't look at titles.
Nah.
We don't care about damn titles. A title is something that somebody came up with to make you feel more important than
Than you
other
actually
person.
are.
you're a glorified worker. That's it, right?
That's true.
And even you said to me, you're like, "Man, I appreciate it." I was like, "Listen, we're a team, right?" I used to send my guys home if they called me boss. Chad, Josh, and they thought I was joking one day. I sent them all home. And I called all the customers and canceled the routes. I said, "Don't you ever call me fucking boss. We're a team." If you suffer, I suffer. I can't do what I do without you, vice versa. But it blew my mind that as Americans, as the team, when I was a supervisor, was so shocked that I was able to, within my title, jump into a vehicle and do the job that they were doing. Because in Africa, that's not a shock. Like, if somebody needs help, they need help,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Regardless of title or whatever. If you come to me and say you need help, I'm going to jump in and help you. That was another sort of like culture shock moment where I asked him, I was like, why is it such a big deal? Well, you're the boss.
Right.
You've got this title. And I was like, that's just words, man. This is why I don't have business cards.
It's this. I'll explain something to you, Parvin, because he's done this shit to me before. So when he came on the first time, I introduced him to Baby J and Jordana.
Right.
And they come up, and I explained to him, this is V, this is my boss. And I ain't never had V give me a dirty look other than that one time where he looked at me, I'm not your boss. We're coworkers.
That's it.
And I was like, and this is why I'm enjoying this conversation so much, because working with both of you, and especially you, Parvin, because you and I have worked together so long.
Oh, for sure.
That I see it more often with you than I do with V, obviously, due to exposure. I always pegged it off to, you two are just outstanding fucking people. And that's not to say you guys aren't, but it's almost as if it's like you were saying, V, family is so important, and you are the next, like we had said on Thursday. Basically, to put it in business terms, your parents are putting a product out to the world, and I'm going to be damned if my product is disrespectful,
Right.
is lazy, doesn't care about anybody, is nonchalant, selfish. You could go down all the negative remarks. It's almost as if it's ingrained in your guys' cultures that
It's in our DNA.
we are great people.
Oh, hell
We
yeah.
are caring, we are understanding, we are helpful, we are respectful, we are hardworking, we are on time, and that's why certain things that you guys do, I have the reaction I have when
Exactly.
Parvin will be like, hey, Sean, I'm going to be 2 minutes late to the truck. Not a big deal. And he'll get to the truck, and I don't think it's a big deal.
But you'll
And
apologize.
he'll get in the truck,
Yeah.
and he'll be like, dude, I'm so sorry. Parvin, it's 2 fucking minutes, man.
Right.
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 And he's like, no, like, you don't understand.
Yeah, it's critical.
And I'm understanding now why that it's such a big deal with certain things.
Yeah. And it's the same whether the people who imparted the knowledge to you are alive or dead. Your parents, grandparents could be in the grave, but you will still stick to the teachings, the knowledge they passed on, because there's a sense of pride that comes with it. Right? I think you and I talked about it on Thursday, a little bit on Thursday. You're leaving a legacy, an example of what the world should be like, essentially, right?
Yeah.
If I'm successful and I'm not willing to be humble enough to make sure that my brother Sean, my brother Tom, they're successful too, then what am I doing here?
Right.
What am I doing here? Right? I've been put in a situation in a certain moment to be influential in some way, right? Because any situation that I find myself in, I look at it that way. I can either impart knowledge or learn something from somebody or make a connection. And if I'm not willing to do those things, what's the point of me what's the point of me being given this opportunity to live another day, to wake up in the morning,
Right.
to be healthy, right? What am I doing with all that? If I'm doing all that for me, I don't deserve all the opportunities I've been given,
Right.
right? And you know, it's when I drive around America and I see the people with their signs and, you know, at the street lights and all that.
Yeah.
I don't know him. and I don't care what color they are, but there's a part of me that just feels like I wish I had all the money in the world
To help.
Yeah, you wish you had the solution to the problem.
Yeah. Yeah. And then another part of me is like, why aren't fellow Americans doing something about this? It's not like they don't have the resources. It's not like they don't have the money. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, why aren't we coming together and trying to figure this out? And it's because there's just this sense of individualism here.
Right.
Of I need to be successful, but on my own, which is crazy to me because every story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. There's people that along the journey of your success have poured into you, have believed in you, have supported you, have given you their last slice of bread, have given you their last pair of shoes. But you forget all that. It's almost like you forget where you were and where you came from. Because only thing you can focus on is what you have now and where you're going.
Exactly. It's this thing that I was talking about. In contrary to popular belief, everyone has this thought process like, I made it on my own. Like, yeah, people help me. What is their help going to do for me if I'm not the one driving the bus?
That's true.
Really listening to you guys and taking in what you guys are saying, it's this almost what I'm starting to realize in it is an understanding of the bigger picture. That without, like you said, without my brother V or my brother Parvin, I'm not where I am now.
For sure.
And likewise, vice versa. And so you guys are understanding of the fact that no, they don't have what they need right now, but I'm going to help them. Because I understand the only way that I win is if everybody wins.
For sure.
Like this whole philosophy that Americans have that there's only like, in order for everybody to get a piece of the pie, everybody's piece has got to be smaller.
Right.
Like it especially comes to terms financially. Like everybody, like the only way that I'm gonna get more is if somebody has less. When you look into other cultures or other beliefs or other ideologies, you realize, no, you're literally talking about things as if they're basically non-renewable resources. There's limitless amounts of the things that people want to act like if I need more, they need less.
For sure.
And I would say that's very American. Because even looking at other cultures from South America or Asia or Europe or Eastern Europe, all these different places that aren't American, you really start to realize there's this, no matter what, this is my person. Like, these are my people.
Yeah.
These are my people, so we all are together. I don't care if I don't know them. I don't care if we've never talked. I don't care if I don't like them as a person.
Yeah.
These are my people, and I need to make sure all my people are taken care of. Not handpicked, not, oh, you did this for me, oh, you did that for me. Nope, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have you.
Yeah. Culture for Africans is their identity.
Right.
And I think that's one of the biggest things in America. And I don't want to generalize it because I know some people have, they've established culture within their families or their circles, and that's great. But the overarching sort of like view as an African looking from the outside in is most Americans do not have an identity. Their identity is in competitiveness. Their identity is in winning at whatever cost, whether it's family, friends, relationships.
So you're sold to the devil.
That's basically, you're selling your soul. Like, that's them winning. And then those same people have all this money, but there's still a hole that can't be filled, right?
Right.
They can't they can't figure out what it is. And what it is you've spent all this time amassing all this wealth, but you've got no connections. You've got no relationships. You've got nobody you can pick up the phone and call and weep, right? And say, dude, I'm going through some shit right now. I need you. And know that that person is going to drop everything they're doing, regardless of what time it is, and drive over to you, fly over to you, whatever it takes. They don't have that. Money can't help you with all that. You can't buy all. You can't
buy
buy.
fucking friends. You can't buy
No,
relationships.
no. And if you do, and if you can, you know,
Wrong
it's,
friends.
It's, yeah, and it's fake, right? That's why people spend so much money on hookers and prostitutes, right? It makes you feel good for the moment, but after you've paid all that and you've gotten whatever you've gotten out of it, you're still back at square one.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy, Sean. Like, one of the most important lessons that I learned just before I came over here and I was back home was I was driving down this road, man, just rural area. And I remember like it was yesterday. There were these kids on the side of the road who were playing with, rocks and sticks. Didn't have the clothes that I had. But they were happy. They were happier than I was. But I was still like wanting more. I felt like I needed more. Right. And these kids had found happiness in the most simplistic things. Just nature. Rocks, sticks. They had a whole thing going on. I remember pulling over and I kind of sat there and I watched them. And I was taken aback. I was humbled because I was like, there's nothing I need. Everything that I think I need is a want. It's not a need. It's not going to change my life in any way. These kids have nothing, right? But they're happier than I am.
That's the deep part. It's that unity.
I was like, damn, dude. Like, how selfish am I right now, right? But at the same time, I was like, that's what I'm missing, right? There needs to be a point where, as people, individually, we're able to look at ourselves in the mirror and really assess where we are, really assess who we are, really assess what is really going on in us. And realize that there's going to be decisions we're going to have to make if we're being real with ourselves. There's decisions we're going to have to make. There's changes we're going to have to make. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be supported by everybody because the people who don't want to see you succeed are the ones who are going to be like, that's too hard. Why would you do that? That's going to, you're going to lose this connection, whatever. It's almost easier to reinvent yourself as someone else than for you to be real with who you need to be. And I'm not saying I'm perfect at it. I'm still learning it. 40 plus years later, I'm still learning it.
But you understand it.
Right.
That's the thing. Most people, being an American and listening to you guys talk, I start to understand. I start to understand, like, it's the age-old saying, you don't understand you have a problem until you're willing to accept you have a problem. You guys have accepted the fact that the only way anything gets better for me is for things to get better for everybody.
For sure.
It's the unity in it.
Yeah.
And I know I cut you off earlier, Parvin. Go ahead and speak your piece, boss.
What I was trying to say was that, like, whenever like we work together, like I've worked with you for a couple of months, and like whenever I talk to you, I'm like, you're more than a brother. Sean, when you struggle, best believe it. I'm gonna be there for you 110%. Everything that I can. With my power, if you need money, whatever the case might be. Because there's no way that I call you my brother. I don't see you as a friend anymore. I don't see you as a coworker anymore. Because, bro, like, the job we do, we literally spend time more than
yeah, we're like you said, we're forced.
Be like, that's my co-driver. No, you have become a family to me. You know, like, and I told you, like, I'll be like, Sean, you my bro. Don't worry about it, bro. We got this. We'll figure it out. And with that, when I tell you stuff like that, I also try to kind of like teach you something, letting you know that, hey, it's more than a co-driver relationship. Now it's getting more of a family relationship that we're both building.
Mm-hmm.
Because at that point, when you're down, I talked to Parvin.
Yep.
He gonna tell me something.
Mm-hmm.
He probably has something
Yeah, kick some game. Yeah, you got some
Right.
wisdom.
exactly and give me some wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I was saying, that's how it is with the African culture.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm always glad that I was born African. Honestly, 'cause I've learned a lot of things that I think if I was an American, I wouldn't know.
I can assure you, you wouldn't, because I've noticed, especially with you, there's this unique dynamic when we work together, but also the way I come home Fridays or whenever we get back from the road, I come back a different person every week than when I left on Monday.
Oh,
And
I've
it
seen
sounds ridiculous, but I come back and I literally was just having a conversation with somebody where I was like, no, I like riding with Parvin. And they're like, why? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I just feel like my motivation changes, my drive changes, my outlook on the world changes, and I don't know how. I don't know
had that
why.
conversation with V, remember? And we were talking about you, and we were like, Sean has changed.
Yeah.
Like today,
Yeah.
when I walked in,
No, honestly.
I'm gonna tell
Yeah.
you, keep something real with you.
Yeah.
So when I walked in today, before V said he rode with you, when I came in, Sean had told me that he rode with you, and you had helped him out. And I'm like, when you tell me something, and sometimes Sean, I don't give you a respond. I'm like, Sean is changing mentally. Sean has really grown from when I first met him. I'm gonna give you that, bro.
I appreciate
That's
it.
why I call you Zimbabwe, because now you're beginning to have that African culture in you of you being appreciated, because he was like, and I appreciate V for doing that. And like the regular person would be like, oh yeah, that's his responsibility. Guess what?
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. But like I believe like there's been certain days you've gone up to V and be like, V, thank you. You know what I'm saying? That's why like
Sean's very good at that. Yeah.
Sean is very
Yeah.
good at that.
All you guys are. Yeah.
Right. And like I told V, and I'm telling you today, I told V, and V was also like, we were talking about you, and we were like, Sean has really changed as time goes on. And the thing about it is that always create an impact in somebody's life when you're with that person, no matter the relationship.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Pay it
yeah.
forward.
Positive one. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let that person feel like, damn, when I was with Sean for these days or this period of time, what did I teach him? Have I impacted something in his life? So like I've seen that, bro.
Yeah. No, Sean's changed. Tom and I even had that conversation not too long ago, and I was like, you know what makes me happy and proud to be part of the Denver team, right? And I always say this to people, like, if I was the one who interviewed you, I always say to people, I said, this is no longer a team. This is a family. And for you to fit into this family, like, here are the expectations.
For sure.
I always say that to people because I want them to understand what the Denver location has. And I think that's what sets the Denver location apart from any other location. Everyone else just sees themselves as just like this person and that person.
Yeah, gear like a cog in the machine.
Right. But as Parvin said, like, when you struggle, I struggle. That's why I have no problem if I come back then you guys are busy. I'll be like, yo, leave this. I'll wrap this. You guys go. Or, hey, can I help with loading? I mean, I asked him the other day. I was like, hey, can I help you put TVs and strap them? And I like the fact that you guys aren't afraid to be like, oh, V wants to help. Let's let him help. Most people are going to be like, but it's below you. No, it's not fucking below me. We're a team, right? But it's been fun to watch the journeys that everybody who's been part of the Denver team, the journey they've been on and how they've developed and how they've changed, right? I remember when I first interviewed you, Parvin.
Oh, this is gonna be interesting. I want to hear
And-
this.
And I already knew that I was going to hire Parvin. When I saw his name and I looked at his thing, I was like, he's hired, right? And it was, and I'll be honest, it was a selfish thing because he's African. And I knew, just from him being African, I knew what I was getting. I knew that there was going to be respect. I knew that he could be molded. I knew that he'd be open to learning. I knew that he had a reason why he wanted to be better, right? And I remember telling Parvin, I was like, "Are you ready to work one job?"
Yeah.
Because he was working like 2 or 3 jobs. And I said, "Are you ready for your life to change? Are you ready to work one job?"
I remember this because he
'Cause I
told
told
me
you about
this.
it.
And he looked at me like all confused. And I said, "Are you ready?" And I could tell that there was disbelief.
Mm-hmm.
And then what? Maybe 3, 4 weeks later, Parvin pulled me outside. He was like, "V." He was like, when you said that to me, he was like, "I thought it was bullshit." And I was like, "I know."
Sounds like Parvin.
And
Right.
and he was like, "Thank you." He's like, "You have no idea what you've done for me." He's like, "I can send more money to people home. I can do all this." And I said, "Parvin, if I've done that, I've won.
Right.
I don't need anything else." Right? Ziggy came up to me 2 weeks ago out of nowhere. He was about to dispatch, and he was like, "V, dude, I needed to let you know I appreciate this opportunity that you gave me in, that you put me in." And I was like, "Sir, you were in the right place at the right time. You were delivering appliances. We had a conversation. I knew I liked you. And I said to you, 'Do you want a job?' I remember that conversation. He looked at me like I was crazy. And I was like, 'Do you want a job? Like, do you want your life to change?'" Same thing as Parvin. He looked at me like,
Yeah.
"This is..." And the thing with Ziggy was this. We had everything square away for Ziggy, and then he fell off because he got into a car wreck. Did you know about
No
that?
shit.
Yeah.
I know. I've heard of a car accident
when
with
we
him,
when we
but I
were
didn't
hiring
know.
Ziggy, he had gotten into a car wreck and was in the hospital. Like his leg had got pinned or something. It was all crazy thing. So we were
shit.
about to cancel his application
Uh,
because we hadn't heard from him. He just disappeared.
uh.
Like as we were making the offer, like the offer letter.
Oh, I'm definitely giving Starboy some shit.
And and I remember, and I was like, in my head, I was like, the conversation we had, I was like, that was too real for it. I literally put myself on the line for Ziggy. I said to HR, no. No. I said, no. I said, don't worry about it. He's gonna turn up. And it took probably about 2 weeks. All of a sudden I get a text from Ziggy explaining everything that had happened. And I was like, you ready to work? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, HR, he's back. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And he said that to me. He's like, dude, you could have literally just been like, screw this. You could have like not believed in, but there's something about, and Ziggy's not even, well, he might have African ties. I don't know. Everybody has African ties as far as
From
I'm
my
concerned.
understanding, he's Jamaican and Ukrainian.
But there's something about people who are real, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Right? And I am always willing to give someone who is real a real opportunity. I don't care what their background is. I don't care what they've done. I don't care. If you show me that you're real and your heart is in the right place, I'll put my job on the line for you. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And even with you, like, and that's what makes the Denver crew special, right? And I think I've said this to you guys. You've heard me say it. I said I'd put this crew up against any location, whether they have 8, 12, 16 people, and you guys would shine because, number one, you guys aren't afraid to work. You guys are respectful. You communicate. You guys have what I like to call your reasons why you do what you do. There's a bigger picture, which you talked about earlier, that you guys are focused on, that you're trying to get to. And no one, not me, not Tom, not Jason, not Kenko, is going to stop you from getting to that bigger picture. Because you know what you want. You're determined to get what you want. And you've got that fire. You've got that fire where you're like, I'm going for this. I don't care what anybody says.
But we also know where we came from. Because, bro, check this out. When I realized where I came from, and I always tell my friends this, I said, if you remember where you came from, you take precautions where you're going to. Because there's a saying back home saying, let's say if I get burned by the stove, there is no way I'm putting my hands on the stove if it's cold. So if you remember where you came from, you take precautions where you're going to. And that's when you try to adjust your life and make sure that you're making the right decisions. When V hired me, bro, I'm going to be real. I was making what 1,200 every 2 weeks.
Yeah, we talked about this 2 weeks ago.
Now I'm making more than that.
Mm-hmm.
So why? See, and that's a point that when V brought up, it has really like it down on me, and I got to understand, man. Sometimes we feel so comfortable that we forget.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, damn, I need to. I have to have some quick setbacks and remember where I came from.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was living at my auntie's house, and now I could go into my own house, use my own keys, and get into my building.
Yeah, and I'll use V as an example too. This is how I knew I wanted to work for V. I had never met V before. I had never spoken to V before. I was working my job, doing my trees, and Tom had mentioned to me, "Hey, I need a partner."
Right.
And he was like, "You got the experience?" I'm like, "Yep." He's like, "Are you ready to do this?" And this was shit right around the time I split with my ex, so there was a lot of questions up in the air because the big thing was she didn't want me away from home that long. And so I told him when he first brought it to me, I can't. Like I can't. I got a lady at home that doesn't want me to do this. We're a team. I can't do it. And he was open with that, and I'm sure he let you know. And then stuff changed, and I asked him. I said, "What about that job you got? You still need somebody?" And he goes, "Yep." I go, "What do I need to do?" And he was like, "I'll tell V tomorrow." And we ran into an issue where they couldn't fully verify I had the year of driving experience.
Right.
And I remember vividly, I get out of the truck for a job, and I see this random ass phone number. I don't know nobody from fucking Tennessee. I'm not answering this. What the hell? And then I just thought back to Tom saying, Tennessee. Kenco and Tennessee in the same sentence. I don't remember what or why. And something just told me, pick up the phone. And so I answered the phone. Hey, this is V. Is this Sean? I'm like, yes, sir. And I could hear in the voice, one, that he knew who I was, though never had met me, and was, like he had said, he's going to put himself out on a limb because he obviously had spoke to Tom and knew that. But he had known, like, I'm going to make a better opportunity for somebody else. Like
sure.
you said, I'm going to change. He thinks about the other people. He understands the bigger picture, the unity of it.
I told my auntie when V hired me, I said, my manager's a South African. I know I'm going to be all right. I just said it right off the back. And not that I'm going to be all right because I'm going to take advantage of the job I have. But I know for a fact that he's African. And I honestly don't see V as my boss. I see him as my uncle. I'm going to be real with you.
That makes sense. This man be saying some shit that an uncle
Bro,
would
sometimes,
say.
yeah, bro. Like he got a lot of wisdom in him. I ain't gonna lie, bro. Like when I rode with him, I was like, damn, V spit some real truth. And I told everybody about V. I'm like, man, he's something else. I mean, he has that African mentality. Like, I'm gonna be there for Parvin. I'm just gonna be there for Sean. I'm gonna be there for this guy. Because not that he sees you guys literally, and I don't know, but I could speak for him and say he sees everybody at work like family.
Amen. Yep.
And and it boils down to the
That's all that matters.
African concept. That's why even with his sons, when they come over, I'd be like, I see them as my nephews. You know, something should happen. God forbid. They're my nephews. Yeah, the kids okay? And even checks, you don't have no kids. But V goes to the extent of asking how family's doing. Yeah, he's probably asked you that.
I mean, yeah, he doesn't have to ask me because one of my family members works there,
Right.
so he knows he asks Tom. He's basically in
He
turn
goes
asking
above
me as
and
well.
beyond.
I mean, I can use when he came over for the first podcast again. I mean, when he met my mom, I never, like, this is going to sound super weird. I'd never once in my life wanted my family members or people that I had in my circle to meet my boss.
Right.
Just my boss. When V came over, I was so, like, part of me was so stoked I fucked up and forgot to buy a piece of equipment just so I could be like, yo, Mom, you got to meet him. Like, have you met him before? No, I know who he is, but I've never met him before. I'm like, hell yeah, like, meet him. Like, I would encourage anybody that has the opportunity to, if you recognize V in public, just shake his hand.
For sure.
Because you, in a 30-second, like, you're passing by, he's going to say one thing that just leaves an indelible impact on your life where you just sit back and you go, holy shit.
Yeah.
And
Check
it
something
doesn't
out.
hit you in the moment. It hits you like 2, 3, 4 months down the line where you're like,
Right. Even
wow.
with this podcast, honestly speaking, I did not come here because of the podcast. I came out here because of love.
Mm-hmm.
The love I have for you. That's why I'm like, bro, like, I was literally home bugging my wife. I'm like, look, man, I got to go. Bro, she's like, Parvin, really? I said, iron my stuff. I'm going to Sean's house. It's not even about the podcast. It's about the thought I have for you, bro. And I mean, honestly speaking, like, the regular person or the regular American, I know would have been like, where my gas money at? Screw that. Screw that. Nah, anything I could pause anything. It's Sean's time. I'm gonna make time for him, no matter what. Bro, I'll put you on my schedule, bro. It was 2:00. I asked my wife. I was like, I got to go.
Hey, I called you like 2:15, 2:20.
I was
and
on
said,
the
"What's
road."
ETA?" And I could hear it. I'm on my way.
I'm on my
I'll be there
way.
in 40 minutes. I apologize. I'm gonna be there at like 3:05. It's
Exactly.
5
Yeah.
minutes.
You know what I'm saying?
Marvin.
And that's the respect I have for you, and that's what my mom taught me, bro. My mom is like, respect everybody, even not just elderly, man, because respect is reciprocal. If I give it to you, you give it to me. If I don't respect you, guess what? You're not gonna respect me. So that mentality of that discipline and like respecting everybody has really down to me that even like, there are certain things that I would love to say sometimes to somebody, but out of respect, I'd be like, just zip my mouth, because that is not how I was brought up.
Oh, I know it all the time.
You know what I'm saying?
I know it all the
'Cause
time.
sometimes I just wanna
Because I
go
get in
off.
the truck and you be heated. I'm going to say something to him. And then I'm like, all right, let's see.
And
And
all of
part
a
of me
sudden-
thinks, oh, he's just scared. And then I see it, and like it took me a few times to see your inner, like, you say something, I'm going to do this. And then it not happen. And I'm like, first few times, I'm like, he's just scared, like he's intimidated. And then I seen it another time after we had a deep conversation. No, this isn't out of fear.
respect.
This is out of something way deeper than fear.
Yes, it's the respect I have for them.
It's kind of like the honor thing we spoke about the other day with UFC fighters, man. It's in our DNA, right? And it's like, I was thinking I'd actually even forgotten, like Sean was talking about how he came to be hired. I'd forgotten that whole situation.
Huh?
Yeah, because I remember Tom giving me your number. I didn't have to call him. I could have just been like, because what happened is HR said he doesn't have enough experience.
Right.
I mean, I'd called him and spoke to him first, and then I called HR. They're like, oh, he doesn't have enough experience. We can't hire him. And I could have left it at that. You know what I'm saying? But there was something about him picking up the phone and us having that 30 seconds or 1 minute of just like, when I was like, I want this dude on our team, right? To the point where like I went to my boss and I said, hey man, this year thing, like it's a crock of crap. Like, is it really legit? And he was like, and my boss helped me in that moment because I was like, hey, something we've run into before is with the application process that people have to do on the Kenko website, it doesn't allow them to put all their experience. So they've been, they haven't been given an opportunity because according to the application, they don't have the year's experience. He was like, call Sean back and, just ask him some questions. And then I told Tom that. I was like, hey, listen, this is what Jason said. Will you check with Sean? Da, da, da. And then he remembered something else he'd done, which gave him the additional 2-3 months that he needed, right? And this was a process we went through for
about 2-3 fucking months.
Yeah, like
That was at work.
and
Because we started in August.
yeah,
And I didn't get finalized till December 28th.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
it was
remember that
and it was crazy because then I called and then he remembered something, and I was like, oh crap! I called HR. HR reached out to him to like update your application. All of a sudden, boom,
Worked out.
he was good, and I was like, you know what I'm saying?
Was that
But it's like there's key moments, I believe, in life where we come into contact with people, whether it's for 10 seconds, 10 minutes, 10 hours, that leaves an impression on you. And those things to me are the most important things, right? I don't care what cars you guys drive. I don't care what house you live in. I don't care how much money you spend. For me, it's the people. People is what keeps me motivated, what keeps me fired. Seeing them succeed, seeing them become somebody, learning from them. I've learned a great deal from everybody here and everybody at work, because I don't know everything,
That's true.
right? I rely on you guys when I'm with you in the truck or in the warehouse to show me the right way to do things. And it's got nothing to do with seniority or titles. Hey, V, you're doing this wrong. And I can always expect that from you guys, that common respect. Not that, oh, dude, you suck. No, no. Hey, we don't do it this way. This is how we do it. Great. That's what keeps me fired up. That's what keeps me learning and motivated to continue to learn from people and hopefully be able to impart some little bit of knowledge that I have to that next person, right? I want to leave conversations a better person than I was when I got there.
Yep.
Sure.
That's my goal, right? Whether good or bad, right? I want to leave having learned something or having a different view on whatever it is, life, whatever it may be. And that's why I enjoy that Denver team. Everyone's so different, and everyone is so talented in their own ways that like there's always something new to be learned from everybody. There's always something new to be appreciated, right?
Well, in a turn, also, if you think about it, staying kind of in that, the Denver branch is a culture shock for everybody
It is, honestly speaking.
because nobody is similar. Like, there's similarities that you could go across the board, like Tom, Daniel, and I. We're white. Ziggy, Ashley, V, Parvin.
Yeah.
You guys are all black.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, everybody's so much different than each person.
That's for sure.
Like Ziggy and I have stuff in common, but we're still vastly different. Parvin and I, like you go around the board, everybody has something in common with another person, but then they have that much more different. And it's this willingness to, like you said, V, I'm not the smartest person. I'm a listen to this. Like I would say yourself, Parvin, and Ziggy, you guys are the three people I've spent the most time with in work, excluding Tom,
Right.
that I have learned so much shit. And I just like, and I agree with what you guys had said. And I would say the same thing for you, especially Parvin, is you've changed even in the short time I've known you. Like, you used to be, excuse me, very kept to yourself. Like, you were the loudest,
Yeah,
but you were loud in tone. You weren't loud in message.
that's true.
And now you are one of the loudest people. You have almost done a complete 180 where you don't talk the most, but people know when you say something like when you say something that's serious, everyone needs to heed what the fuck you're saying. Like when Parvin opens his mouth, listen to him. Even when he says the wild, crazy shit he says sometimes,
And then he laughs like
That's
that.
like
you know there's something in there that
Something.
you could pick up
That's
on.
some
it.
knowledge.
Yeah, there's some knowledge in there.
Yeah.
Whether it be experience or learning from somebody else.
Yeah.
Like the change that everybody has gone through
for sure.
in just the short amount of time that everybody's been there. I mean, you figure you're really the only staple at the Denver branch at this point. Like, yes, you've been there over a year. Tom's been there over a year.
Yeah.
But everyone's gone under very different roles and
Right.
very different changes personally.
Yeah.
That's true.
And not to say you're not growing and changing, but you're
Definitely
the
am.
rock. Like you're the rock the house is built on.
Wow.
And there's a lot that, like I was saying, everybody can learn so much from them. Like Parvin is, like you said, you have to be by far top 2 most disciplined fucking people I've ever seen in my life.
You say that all the time. Bro.
All the time. I'm like, I don't know how you do it. Like, you are so disciplined, yet so humble in the same vein.
Appreciate you. That's just how I was brought up, you know. And like I said, my mom is like, see, when we were growing up, I grew up in the church, so that also kind of like instilled a little discipline in me, because, bro, there are certain things like when you go to church, you don't do. Man, my mom back then, like, and I'm trying to do that with my daughter. When we go somewhere and I start acting up, my mom don't have to talk to me, just that look.
Yep. That death
And,
stare.
You know, you got to sit straight. So at that point, you know, when you're going home, you get in an ass whooping real quick. So
You're not even making it to the car before you get in that ass whoop.
bro. Like, to the point that, like, I think when Steve Harvey went to Ghana, he asked this dude a question, and he was like, "No, please." And Steve Harvey was like, "Why you say please?" Because please is like everything in the African culture, bro. It's like please, yes, please, no, please. Like, but here it's like, why do you have to say please? Like, I'm not gonna even like I'm gonna bring somebody up like Eric. When I do something and I'm like, Eric, I apologize. He's like, you don't have to. But it's just not. I won't say that.
I don't have
I
to.
don't have to. It's
But,
just the
yeah.
culture built in me that makes me want to like,
Yeah, that identity.
say I'm sorry for what I did wrong, even if it's little or in a bigger picture. Because maybe that I'm sorry would mend a lot of wounds that would cover maybe something that I did wrong to him he didn't like.
Yeah, you don't heal a scar with one stitch.
Man.
It takes a lot of small stitches to heal a large wound.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
And here's what I love, and this is probably my proudest sort of like father moments. So like, whether it's school, or whether it's my kids having a sleepover, or they go to a party, whatever it may be. I obviously want them to have fun, right, and do well and all that. But everybody comes up to me and says, "Your sons are the most respectful, caring, team-oriented people I've ever come across.
That's true.
You are doing a great job." That, to me, they could say anything else they want. I'm done. Like, my job is done. And my boys know. They know. Like, and this is coming from generations of stuff. I preach to them what my grandfather, my great-grandfather preached to his son, to my father. Like, there's consequences to doing dumb stuff.
That's true.
But I'll be damned if you're going to be labeled a thief, a liar, and someone who's disrespectful, not just to the elders that you know, but to any other elder. My boys know. Cohen, what do you get spanked for?
Lying, stealing, disrespecting mom and dad.
And other elders. They know. That's the thing. But that's something that was instilled in me.
Right.
And when I became a father, I was like, whether it's sons or daughters, those were things that I had instilled in them.
Yeah.
And I will admit, I'm hard on them sometimes, because of just how hard the world is. You know what I'm saying? And things are going to be harder for them than they are for us right now.
Sure.
But I love that that continuing passing down of knowledge from like our elders. Like our elders are revered, right? My grandmother just turned 94 on December 20th. And part of the reason I'm going home is, hopefully God willing, she makes it, is to pay my last respects. Like, she's the matriarch of my whole family, right? I remember saying to one of my white friends here in America, if my grandmother dies, I want to plane to Africa. And they were like, why? She's just your grandmother. And I was like,
That sounds
Right.
wild to me.
And I was like,
Just why?
I had to I was like, hold up. I was like, do you understand who she is in this whole picture?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be here if she wasn't. Do you understand the lessons that I've learned from her? Do you understand how much I owe her?
Right.
Everything.
My dad wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here. My kids wouldn't be here. Like, I wouldn't be living this comfortable life. I was like, what do you mean, why?
That's
And I could see,
great.
like, he couldn't fathom it. And that's when I was like,
You lost.
damn, people are empty, bro. Like, he's like, wait, you're gonna pay, get on a plane and fly to Africa? I was like, yes, without question. My wife knows it. My kids know it. Like, because that's our culture. I've got to
Right.
pay my respects to the person who is responsible for where I'm at right now. Like, why is that so hard to understand? And I could tell he was struggling with it. And I was like, man,
See, I'm an American. I'm a white guy, and I know I'm in the same boat.
it's just, yeah. You
world
would
has
think it's
really
common
changed.
sense.
You would, and that's why. And you both, Ziggy included, and white people I know across the playing field, they always are so flabbergasted. And I've told both of you this, especially you. I would much rather be with black people, and a lot of white people are like, "What?" Like, first of all, you fit in there. I'm like, I don't know, but I know that's where I feel home because my morals align more with theirs than they do with white folk. I identify more with the belief systems, the respect, the way you guys carry yourselves. That I'm just like, nah. You guys could stay over there and feel like, because it's a huge thing. To go back to the family thing, there's so many people in white households that their families are fractured, and there is no attempt to mend that fissure.
Yeah.
It's just it is what it is. They don't like me. I don't like you. So be it. And it blows me away.
Like me and
Excuse
my
me.
father don't have the best of relationship, but I'm gonna use my mom as an example. When I first came here, me and my mom, we had a little scuffle. One time I had to call her and I said, Mom, listen, everything I have done wrong, please forgive me. If I have to fly to Africa, come down and kneel down on my knees and be like, you know what, Mom, please forgive me. Because at the end of the day, bro, there's whatever your mom says out of anger, it has an impact on your life. Or so I tried my possible best to have the best of relationship with my mom. I don't need anything from her. Just the best of relationship.
And she's giving you everything already.
Exactly.
Right?
And like my mom, you know the relationship. My mom calls me. I'm like, yo, my mom's calling. We don't talk that much, but the best of relationship. And I still have a little scuffle with my dad. And I'm trying my possible best. And I give my wife that props because she's like, you know what, Parvin, you just have to have that relationship with your dad. There is no way, bro. I could go to my dad's house, as old as I am. I don't mind. I have to clean his bathroom. There is no way I'm gonna go to my dad's house and then my dad will be doing chores and I'm gonna be sitting down there.
Yeah, that's crazy to me too.
Nah, bro. I gotta go back there. So when I see these Africans, like Americans, like the kids out here, and I see them, I'm like, where is that coming from? Remember, like these kids, I think, was it you or Ziggy? I said, them kids are not Americans.
It was me.
Yeah, as I told you, I said, these kids are the most disciplined kids I've ever seen.
I would
Because
agree.
the regular kids in America, what's up, Harvin? They call you Uncle Sean.
Don't do first names.
Yeah, they call you Uncle Sean. They call
There's
me
got to
Uncle
be a
Marvin.
prefix before that.
Yeah, there's got to be prefix before that. And like same thing with my daughter. Sean, whoa.
Slap that mouth.
Right.
Pop.
Uncle Sean.
Try again.
My daughter, when my wife came out here, my daughter automatically calls her.
I remember you telling me this.
There's no way she's not your friend. Because your mother first off don't do what she does for you. And she doesn't have to like give birth to you to be your mother. No. If she's able to take care of you, that's your mom. Simple as it is.
Yeah, they fit that. If they fill the role,
Exactly.
yep. And like you said, it's for you guys. It's a title thing.
It's a title.
It's like, why put a title on it?
Right.
Like, I understand that it's a respect thing for sure, but like you guys were saying, it's not a title thing. It all goes back to the respect, the morality, the discipline. That because I would agree with Parvin's sentiment. I would say for sure,
These kids, man. I told you.
fucking kudos to you.
Man.
Because I've had people over that have kids, and to explain to folks that can't see, I have a room in my house that is exorbitantly expensive. I have shit in there that most people would not be privy to seeing, and I had no problems. Oh, you want to see the big ones? Yeah. Okay, let's go look at the big ones. And I never had to turn around and do the whole.
Because he knows what his dad has also told him.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is that I understand that, okay, I can take him in there and I can turn around and walk out and he can still be in there.
And he's going to be.
And it's going to be the exact same way it was when I went, before he even went in there.
Man, I've seen some kids, even some African people's kids, and I'm like, where is this child coming from? Jesus Christ. Where the discipline at? Talking back, where is that done at? Nah, I'm slapping the taste out of your mouth real quick. Don't talk back.
Mm-hmm.
Like even my daughter, 8 o'clock means 8 o'clock. Miracle, what time is it? 8. The iPad. Okay, good night.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a strategy, and I'm not like I tell my stepdaughter all the time. I said, when I talk to you, I'm not trying to be the mean dad. I just want to let you know that to every action there's consequences. I love you like I love my daughter. I'm just trying to keep it real with you that I just want you to be disciplined because you represent me when you go out there. Because if something happens, who's your dad? Parvin. Oh, okay.
And then they start to form their opinion of you based off the interaction they had with them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what my dad told me. He said, represent who I am when you go out there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's real, man. Like, it always makes me laugh. Like, like the boys are in football, and we mix with other families. Most of them obviously white, right? With the football we do and all that. And I'll give Cohen as an example, right? We could be at my oldest son's practice, Makai. He's practicing. Cohen's playing or Cohen's running off somewhere. I whistle, and within seconds, he stops what he's doing. And he finds where that whistle's coming from.
Real quick.
And all of a sudden, he's right here. He's like, what's up, Dad? Right? Kids could be doing something stupid, like everyone else's kids. And I'll look over there and I'll be like, Cohen, stop. And all I hear is, yes, Dad. I've had white American parents go, can I bring my kid to your house?
Just for some discipline.
Can you please, help me? Because they respond. And I sit there and I'm like, what do you mean your kid doesn't respond? Like what I'm sorry, who's the parent and who's the kid here?
Right.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was raised by a strong, independent white woman, and if I did not respond, I'm getting that ass beat.
Yeah, you respond.
It was you I was telling this to, that I've noticed, especially with you, because the first time when I heard some of the interactions you've had with Miracle, I'm like, holy hell, that sounds
tough.
Is that too much?
Yeah.
And then she came around the warehouse when you introduced Jemima to everybody, and I sat back and I said, no, it's not too much. And in my mind, I'm thinking the reason it's not too much is because he's doing that for this moment right here. The fact that now, obviously, I wasn't there when everybody was getting food, but I'd have to imagine she served herself last.
Of course.
That there's these things that she was doing that I know for a fact when I was in there, she did not speak unless spoken to. She was respectful of her elders. She made sure that I am, like we had stated, I am here representing my dad, and I am not going to bring any sort of negative outlooks or any sort of repercussions that may come with me acting a fool.
Oh, we're gonna have a talk real quick when we go home. I promise you that.
It doesn't even have to wait till we get home. My boys know.
Right.
We walk into a store, and I say, "This is what we're coming to get." I can walk them through toy aisles,
They won't touch it.
no peep, because Dad, before you walked in, I said, "We're here to get this and this only. I don't want any issues."
I wish I had that fucking discipline.
And as hard as it is for a kid, because you walk through and you see all the stuff, I love the fact that they're like, my dad gave me a directive. My dad gave me this. That's it. That's all that matters. But the other part of that too is I've learned so much from even my kids. There's been moments where they've taught me stuff, and I think that's kind of the bigger picture, right? Or the balance, if you think of it that way, is the one thing I've come to appreciate is, yes, I'm the dad, I'm older than them, but even as an adult, there's things that you forget or things that you don't necessarily pay attention to, and it's important to hear what sometimes they have to say, because there's been situations where they've literally changed my whole thought process, and I thought I was the one imparting knowledge. They've imparted knowledge on me. I have to sit back and be like, damn, right? But I think that goes with any situation, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Just because I'm older and I've done more and I've been at the company or I've done this for how many, it doesn't mean that Sean doesn't have anything to offer. It doesn't mean that Parvin or Ziggy or Louise or Daniel in their own right doesn't have anything to offer. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that's part of development. That's part of growth. Being able to understand that you don't know it all.
I mean,
Right.
the quote that I always tell Parvin with this is Shaquille O'Neal uses it all the time. The smartest man in the room knows he's not the smartest man in the room.
Right.
And you sit back and you think about that. And if you take it at face value, you go, how the fuck does that even work?
Right.
Like, how is he the smartest man in the room if he knows he's not the
not
smartest
smart.
man in the room? Because he understands that no matter how young, how old, the experiences they've gone through, there's going to be stuff that somebody has to teach you. And I hear this a lot, what you're saying, be with especially, obviously, parents, but involved parents.
Yeah.
Because Ziggy talks about it all the time, where he'll be dealing with Lil Ziggy, and he's like, I didn't even know that.
Right.
my buddy Derek, like, he talks about it openly in the fact that he's like, I was an idiot before I had my kids. And he's like, I wasn't stupid by any means, but I'm a hell of a lot smarter now because I just listen to these little kids. And I'm like, yo, you've been on this planet 3-4 years.
Yeah.
And you know something.
Hey, man.
I'm
Hey, you don't know.
26, 27.
Dude,
I ain't never thought of it that way.
No, they'll spit game, bro. They'll spit game. I have aha moments every day, and I'm just like,
Does it ever freak you out?
it does.
What
It
about you,
does.
Parvin?
It does. Because my daughter asked me a question last week, bro.
Uh,
And I was like, whoa, hold on. Like, bro. Like, I was like, So she came up to me. She's like, why don't you talk to your dad?
Ooh.
go to your room.
Right. We'll talk about it on Sunday. And she went to my dad and was like, are you my dad's dad? Why don't he come to your house? And like, I could tell, like, my dad's face just changed. And I'm like, man, these kids are so, and I like how they're very open because they feel super comfortable.
They're so innocent. They don't know better.
And they feel comfortable asking you questions. Like these kids, and now they have all these technologies and all that kind of stuff. Man, them kids are powerful, bro. Kind of stuff they'll ask you, be like,
But like he said, like you guys are saying, there's simplicity in how developed kids are, right? But you have to be willing to be vulnerable as an adult or as someone who's older than them to hear that. And
I honestly believe everybody has something to offer, and that's what my kids have taught me. We talk about accountability, we talk about responsibility, and so many times we're, hey, do as I say, not as I do. And they've called me out on stuff. They're like, so it's okay for you to do that, even though you told me not to do it. And I'm like,
Right.
damn. Like,
Thankfully, nobody's keeping a scoreboard.
but it's kept me accountable because every time I want to impart any sort of discipline or establish discipline, I've got to take a step back and go, okay, am I clear to do this? Like, I've got to check myself because they remember. They're sponges, dude. Like
Oh yeah.
they soak stuff in, But I mean, I wouldn't trade that in for anything, man. It's I always tell people, hey, don't have kids. It's just me joking, because it's really empowered me. It's made me a better person. And yeah, it's.
What I'm
awesome.
hearing is I need to have a kid.
I mean, take your time.
No rush, man. With the right person.
Take your time.
Parvin tells me every time. He's like, we
Bro.
nice female, no kid, not right now.
Not right now.
No,
Let's
like
get her blessing.
like enjoy life, Sean. Enjoy life. You are already accomplishing stuff you wanted to accomplish, and
At your
you're
age,
going to
yeah.
continue to accomplish even greater stuff, right? Take the time to sit back, enjoy that, appreciate it, appreciate the work you've put in, and appreciate the what comes out of what you've put in.
Oh, for sure.
And use that travel, have fun.
It makes it easy when we work for Kenco. I tell you what,
dude.
it's not real travel, but there are a few nights where Parvin and I shut it down a little early when we're on schedule, and
sure,
we're like,
yeah.
"Hey, yo, let's go out here and let's do
Let's
this."
do something.
And that's the craziest thing. When it comes to Kenko, right, and the opportunities given, not just to me, but to everybody, right? When someone does something stupid like steals from the company, or disrespects their fellow coworker, or decides to break policies. And I'm not saying that challenges don't happen. There's situations that happen where you have to make a decision and it may not be popular, but you communicate it and it's good. But the people who think they can do all this crap and get away with it at the expense of their teammates and this account, that's the one thing that upsets me, is how selfish do you have to be to not understand what you have, right?
That's true.
When I was a supervisor, the guys I had, the Chads, and I would have meetings with them on Mondays, and then sit there and moan and bitch. And I'm very direct when people hit a nerve. And I would sit there and I'd be like, okay. And I'd tell them, I was like, hey, listen, you guys have HR's number, right? They're like, yeah. I'm like, okay. If anything I say here touches you a certain way, call them. Because I'm going to let them know the discussion I had with you. Just so you know. I'm not going to hide it from anybody. Right. And I'd look everybody in the eye and I'd be like, I want you, as a man, as a woman, whatever, I want you to look me in the eye and tell me that this company hasn't done everything and beyond to make sure that you're good. I want you to look me in the eye and tell me what else do you need? Realistically, let's be realistic. I don't want you to say I need a Ferrari, because that's unrealistic. Look me in the eye and tell me if everything you've ever needed for this job hasn't been provided.
For sure.
Tell me that this job hasn't given you the ability to provide for yourself and your family in a different way. Tell me you can't walk into a store or wake up on a Saturday and say, you know what? I'm not going to go to King Supers today. I'm going to go to Natural Grocers.
For sure.
Tell me this job hasn't done that for you.
Shit, I'm not gonna argue with you.
Tell me it hasn't done that for
Sure,
you.
dog.
And if it hasn't, I'll find a way to fix it. And they'll all look at me and just be like, and they'll be like, thank you.
It's when you and that's the thing with like using morals across the board, is the fact that when your moral compass was set the right direction at a young age,
Appreciate stuff.
you appreciate it, but then you also, Parvin and I have spoken on this, when you have the right people in place and you have your moral compass set right, you're more eligible to get people to do more than what they're asked to do.
That's true.
Like Parvin and I talk about it all the time that because we have such a well-oriented scheme and such a bond person to person, there's stuff where that's not our job, but we're still willing to go and do it because we understand that this is like we're gonna do this out of the generosity of our own hearts.
Yeah.
Like Parvin, for example, I know, and this is something that only in this conversation I'm starting to realize. You do stuff that's so simple that most people wouldn't even think to do it, like the trash. And I'll use the trash for example in the offices. I can remember numerous occasions where you'll peek your head in everybody's office. You need me to take your trash? Like, is your trash full?
Yeah.
And you'll run in, pull it out, throw it out.
Yeah.
And it's such a simple task that most people would just be like, not even think about it.
Right.
But then you sit back and think about it, and you go, such a small task leaves such a massive impact. And and I feel like that kind of is in line with the cultures, but also
for sure.
Also, it's something that can be taught. You know what I'm saying? And something that can be learned.
Like, not to cut you guys off, the other day when I came and it was snowing and snow was all over you guys' car, I said, man, when Daniel and Sean get back, man, they're going to be tired. Grab a broom, clean up their whole car.
I still don't appreciate you calling me a bitch, though.
I used to do that.
And that's something I did because I'm like, man, how would they feel it's going to be cold? Yeah. If I'm in the weather already cleaning my car, why not? All it took is like 5 minutes.
Can I say something to you when it comes to that?
What?
That particular instance, do you know how much you made my night that much better?
Because
like to go off on it that night, my car wouldn't start for near half an hour.
Really?
Like, would not turn over, would not start, and everything under the sun was just starting to irritate the soul out of me. And I because you and I have playful interactions constantly.
Right.
Like that, when you called Daniel to say, hey, I just want to let you guys know, you don't have to worry about the snow on your cars. I already got it. And in the moment, I'm like, oh, man, like, I appreciate it. But it wasn't as big a deal as it was at the end. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just thought minor task, not a big deal. That night, that saved me from so much frustration because I would have been pissed off trying to get the snow off my car, so on and so forth, when in reality, it made my night that much more manageable.
Oh, yeah. And that's one thing I also appreciate Daniel. Daniel is the type of dude that says thank you for every single thing you do. Like, he's like, that's nice of you, Parvin. One time he had a client, he said, why are you too nice? And I'm like, I think it's and I told him the same thing. I said, I don't think I'm nice. I think it's a cultural thing that I have developed and it's instilled in me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, bro, like, I tell you all the time, if you're done with cash, hit me up.
I know, I have.
Why not?
I'm going to hit you up for cologne.
You and me both.
I got you.
I'm going to hit you up for cologne.
You know what? I literally was thinking, I was like, Christmas, what should I get for everybody at work? I'm like, I don't want to. Maybe it might sound a little, because that's how it is. You know, that discipline that has been instilled in me and stuff like that. Because why would I see you struggle when you have to get back to work at 9 p.m. and then you have to clean up the snow off your car when I was there cleaning up and all it took was 5 minutes. It's the impact that I created at that point, because I know for a fact maybe the next time you would remember and say, Parvin did that. Let me get him back.
It's the little things,
It's
right?
the little things.
Yeah, it's the little things that leave the biggest impact.
Well, it's like even with Daniel, right? I used to be a salesman. When I first moved here, I was a salesman for Nissan. And I learned all these weird tricks with all the Nissan cars. And I noticed that he's got a Nissan Infinity, right?
Same thing.
But they're built in the same chassis and electrical sort of like system.
Oh, they're the exact same car.
And yeah, so there was one day when he was there working on routes, and I was like, hey, man, let me grab your car. He's got a little, the
fob.
And he was like, oh, it doesn't work. And I was like, what do you mean it doesn't work? He's like, I was going to go in and get it taken care of. And I was like, in my mind, I was like, it's a fucking battery. And I had the battery. I bought those batteries and they're sitting in my desk at work. So I switched it out, went out to his car, and I was like, bloop, bloop. And I was like, yeah, it works now. And he was like, you did that for me? I was like, dude, it's a battery.
Yeah, I remember. He told me.
And then I showed him another trick. I was like, hey, come out here with me real quick.
You show them the unlock, hold the unlock, and the windows.
And then the
come
windows.
down.
I was like, back in the day, I remember these cars could do this. I don't know if they still do. And I did it, and I was like, oh, snap. And he was like, it does what? And I was like, yeah, dude.
My 96 Maxima used to do that. That was the coolest thing about that car. Hell yeah. Tom's brother came over when I first bought it. He did like after I bought it inspection, let me know if I needed to have anything done. And he goes, toss me your keys. I'm like, what you need my keys for, old man? And he's like, let me see your keys. And so I toss him the keys. And sure as shit, he holds the unlock and all the front two windows come down.
Hondas roll down all four.
I'm glad you told me that about Daniel's car because now I'm going to show up to my brother's house who drives the exact same car, only a coupe, and I'm going to be like, hey, bro, you want to see something pretty badass?
Like, hey, man, let me show you this magic trick.
Yep.
I can make your windows.
I'm not even going to tell him. I'm going to have somebody stand behind me, and I'm going to be like, dude, I'm a Jedi now. Watch this. And somebody's going to be holding the button.
Yeah. If I do this, you owe me a tomahawk steak. Oh, man.
Yeah,
wow.
man.
Yeah.
No, it's incredible, but I appreciate you guys coming out.
Yeah,
again.
man.
Oh, yeah, for
It's been
sure,
fun.
bro. Whenever.
This was a good one. I appreciate it.
Yeah, dude.
Conversation.
Yeah, it was really fun. It was really fun. Look forward to the next one.
For sure, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Parvin, I know you and I are talking about doing a pretty crazy one coming up.
Oh, yeah, I'm ready.
So I wanted to ask you, do you know anybody that can do the other side? I have the Buddhist. Are you going to be able to do the other
I
side?
can find a couple of Muslims, yeah.
Okay.
I could find. I might. I'm thinking probably maybe find maybe I might find maybe an imam, somebody that has been in the religion.
Oh, in the clergy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do that because I'm gonna be driving to Aurora tomorrow, so I'm gonna go in and then figure that out. And I think they'll make time for you.
Yeah, that one will be cool. V, have you heard of what we're doing on that one?
No.
So Parvin and I, a couple weeks back,
Yeah.
we had a conversation. Parvin had asked me, I don't remember how the conversation started.
You, are you scared to die? And that's how it started off. And
Yeah, that's how the conversation started. Is he had asked me if I was scared to die, and I told him, Parvin, that's something I've struggled with since I was old enough to wrap my head around the concept of dying.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, really? And I shit you not, from the minute we were in, where we start that morning? North Dakota? South Dakota?
Yes.
Pierre. We started in Pierre.
Good place to talk about death. North Dakota.
From Pierre, South Dakota
Yeah.
to damn near Cheyenne, Wyoming.
Oh, we was on it.
We were talking about death.
That's a long.
We were on it
Long time.
for almost 4 hours,
Yeah, talking about that.
exchanging like our theories behind like what happens when we die. And Parvin presented this amazing idea and said, Sean, why don't you get in touch with a Buddhist and a Muslim, and let's all four do a podcast and exchange our ideas as to what we think happens when we die? Because Parvin's Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, Christianity, those are the three biggest religions across the world.
Yeah.
And they're all very different.
Yeah.
So I was like, dude, we're doing it.
Yeah.
Like,
That-
I'll get the
that's-
Buddhist,
yeah.
you get the Muslim, and we'll have an incredible podcast exchanging our thoughts and beliefs as to what happens when we die.
That'd be awesome. And I've had this discussion with my kids.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, like, Dad's not going to be here forever. Mom's not going to be here forever. And you see them tearing up.
Yeah, you see
And I'm
them
like, but
tear
that's
up.
okay. Because I want you to take everything that Mom and Dad have put into you, and you need to become better than both Mom and Dad and pass this on.
Mm-hmm.
And, we're always going to be with you, whether you like it or not,
Mm-hmm.
right? But don't let Mom and Dad passing or death be something that kind of makes you question who you are or your morals, right?
Yeah, and
Find your reasons why, grab onto that, and just focus on that. And it's been amazing since we had the discussion, because my father-in-law passed away, their grandfather, COVID Year before last.
Okay.
And that was probably the most difficult thing. I had to like wake my kids up in the middle of the night, and
Tell them.
I was in tears. I was in tears, not because I felt sad that he was gone, and him and I had a good relationship, but watching them process that was probably the hardest thing as a father that I've ever had to deal with, and that's when I was like, I need to have the conversation.
Yeah.
They need to understand that life is like it's not endless. Like at some point, we all die, just like we live.
That's what I'm grateful for, because all the time we have that conversation that I think it's a blessing for us to get on the road and come back safe. Because there's a lot of accidents that happen. Like on Monday,
I know.
bro, we were trying to like take
Yep.
70, shut down. 285, shut down. 25 North going to Wyoming, shut down. I'm like,
Yeah, dude. I that's even now with you guys and Thomas, your supervisor. I literally like I look at weather and I have sleepless nights.
yeah,
And I'd even text Tom and be like, "Are the guys good?" And he's like, "Yeah, they made it safe." And it was the same thing with when I was a supervisor. Like, even the guys were like, "Oh, we're gonna go to Montana," and I'd be like, "No, no, you're not." They're like, "Customers need to be taken care of." I was like, "Yeah, but you have one life."
exactly.
And I would stay up, dude, and I'd be like, the moment you get to your hotel,
Let me know.
you call me, FaceTime me. I was like, my phone is next to me. If you don't do that, I'm gonna come to Montana and I'm gonna find you in the ditch wherever you are. I'm gonna whip your ass because
Dead or not.
yeah, I'll kill you again because
Right.
it's the stuff that you guys go through and the stuff that you guys deal with, dude. Like I've experienced it on a smaller scale. I've gone out there by myself and done stuff, but like you guys could probably write stories about the stuff that
we
you've
had
seen.
to.
And people would be like, "Come on, man."
That's why Parvin likes riding with me. Because Parvin knows when it comes snow time, I'm the best person to have in that damn truck with him. When we were in what was it, Rollins 2 weeks ago, the snow was so bad, so nasty that remember when we were getting off the on ramp or getting off on the off ramp,
Right.
and we had to squeeze in between. What was it, Parvin? Three Freightliners, the 53 footers.
Yeah, but I remember.
And
that incident.
Parvin is sitting there,
Close my
passenger,
eyes.
and he's sitting there going, Sean,
Don't do it.
it's all right. And then we get out, and I look at him and I go, this is why you ride with Big Papa Sean.
Yeah,
Big
because
Papa Shot.
Because you don't have to worry, baby girl. Because he was tense.
Oh, I was tense.
You can't make it. You can't make it. Oh, I'm going to make it. And we got there safe, nothing crazy.
right.
And
I
it
just don't want
was,
my family to hear in the news, especially being like losing my parent, because it was the new documentary that is out, the book by Harry. I don't know if you've seen that. It's called Spare, talking about how he lost his mom when he was young. The news that he. So like to me, it's the fear of my family where they'll be at.
if you're not around.
Like, how are you gonna address that thing to my wife? Like, we need to talk, because we had that conversation about military. That how do they go to people's houses and present
Yep.
that issue to them?
When the moment you see them walk up to your door,
Exactly.
And
You
that's the
gotta start
same
breaking
thing I had
it
told
down in
Parvin.
tiers.
They come up to you and they have the flag and they have the letter and they know.
And they know.
Like by the time that door is open, they're on the ground, crying, concerned, like this isn't happening, is it? And
Right.
but yeah, so definitely, you and I will get back
yeah,
in
we'll
touch
get
and we'll
back.
get it figured out. Hopefully,
better
in the
share
next
that
couple of
podcast
weeks.
with me. I want to see that.
See,
Oh, you already know.
yeah.
Thanks, fellas. This has been good.
Yep, I appreciate you guys.
Yes, sir.
And Parvin, until the next one. V, obviously, until we do another one.
Toot toot.
Home safe. I
Yes, sir.
appreciate you guys.
Hell yeah.